the welcome to Reboot, and it's so great to have you here. And so, yeah, my name is Adam Boker, and I'll be your host for Reboot APAC, this BSV meetup. And so looking forward to the speakers we have for you guys today. And so just to let you know that at Faiā, we focus on building productive communities for high growth scale ups. And we're actually one of the first in the Asia Pacific to offer BSV integration services. So really excited to start to introduce the speakers, and I'll do a few pointers on housekeeping. And I hope you've enjoyed the networking, the co-mingling, sort of speed networking. I actually met a guy. His name was Peter, I believe, and he's BSV curious. I thought that was pretty cool. So house rules. So we expect for everyone to respect the speakers in our team, and of course we'll reciprocate. And please keep your mic on mute until it's your turn to speak. And also there will be a Q&A session at the end. So please feel free. Really encourage you guys to use the chat box, and that's where we'll be queuing up your questions for the Q&A. So bring all your curious questions. There'll be some polls going up as well. And also really important, have fun and connect with others. And definitely excited for this. So just a bit of a refresher on Hopin. We're really enjoying it so far. I might feel a little bit weird to start with. Once you get used to it, it's really great. So for the main stage, which is either up there or up there, live at the moment, you go to the stage. That's where all the speakers will be. The Q&A sessions will be in the sessions tab, and then networking. You guys have already been there. So that's all good. Thank you so much to our sponsors, to the Bitcoin Association. A special thanks to Ella. And then, again, we encourage everyone to use the chat box there. And so what we're going to do right now, we are going to introduce today's first speaker, which is none other than George Siosi Samuels, the MD of Faiā. And he's going to be sharing with you the rebooting of community. Welcome, George. Welcome. And I give the stage to you. Awesome.
Great. Thank you very much, Adam. Hopefully, everyone can see me fine as well. If you can, would love to see you just, message in the comments box on the event stage. And so what I'm going to do, I got about 15 minutes. Again, welcome to this event, Hopin. Hopefully you guys, are able to experience it all right and enjoy the process. So let me just share my screen. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to go into full screen mode, and hopefully you'll see everything A-OK. Great. Cool. So again, welcome to our APAC BSV meetup for Q2 in association with the Bitcoin Association, and really excited to have you guys be here. As mentioned from Adam, I am the managing director for Faiā, and I'm going to be talking about rebooting communities. Now, you might be used to BSV meetups talking mostly around the technical sides of things, but Faiā, we actually are very much interested in helping to build up the people side with a lot of tech companies. And so I'll be talking about communities, but its relation to Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin. So what I'm going to be talking about is, well, of course, what is a community when we're talking about communities, what Faiā is, why do communities matter today, what does community look like in Bitcoin, current issues, potential solutions, and the future of communities in Bitcoin. So first of all, what is a community? A community is a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Pretty simple, right? But we tend to see communities as sort of the social glue, the glue for any sort of effort, movement, or initiative. And the reason for that is, if you look at sort of trust and how trust plays out in the world right now, those who have high levels of trust usually have a high sense of community, right? They kind of go hand in hand. And so when you have a strong community with a high sense of trust, you'll find that things get done a lot quicker, right? In the world of Bitcoin, we often talk about transactions, but it's a balancing act, because if you have a community with transactional relationships, it means that people actually might have low levels of trust. And of course, the money that's being exchanged between people is just a way of being able to exchange that trust with one another, right? And you might not necessarily need to get involved with them or create a community when you're exchanging goods or services. But for a business, if you are able to build a community around your own brand, it means that your ability to exchange not only the financial value, but also the relationships, you're just going to have a far easier time being able to sell goods and services. And there may be higher loyalty involved as well. So Faiā, again, just to reiterate what Adam was saying, we are a consultancy focused on building communities for high growth scale-ups. All right, high growth typically means 500K and above, right? And this is because it's to do with the fact that these type of companies have already validated an idea, right? And they may very well have paying customers. So you'll see 6 to 7 figures and above. And typically they'll have a team of around 10 people. So these are the types of clients we often attract and we like working with, because they already kind of know what they're doing, and they've already kind of built a movement or a community around what they're doing, and we just help come in and grow that. Because we're called Faiā, if you think of fire, all of the types of clients that we work with, they have the wood, solid wood, that we can use to help burn and grow them greater. So we were one of the first consultancies in Asia Pacific to offer Bitcoin SV integration services. And of course, we leverage the latest tools and technologies to build more productive communities. So it's not just about building communities for the sake of, but how do we make them productive? And that could include being profitable. Just to reiterate, because there were some comments or messages made recently on Twitter about sort of what we do, right? And we just want to reiterate that our target market for clients is not actually BSVers, right? So what we're doing here with this event is more of just a show of support, because we love BSV and the ecosystem, but we are leveraging and supporting BSV for our clients who are solving real problems. That's our goal. So why do communities matter? This chart that you see on the right is actually a chart from the State of Community Management 2020. It's a report that was done by Rachel Happy, who is the co-founder of a company called Community Roundtable. So what she found over years of research, and this is in the field of community management. So some of you watching might not even know much about the field of community management. So it's an area that really has popped up after 2004, right? And it's very interesting to see, because we noticed that, once upon a time, we all knew what it meant to be part of a community in our civic neighborhoods. But now it's really entered the business ecosystem. Now, I've got some theories as to why that has become the case. But essentially, we are now having to teach businesses and people how to do community when it used to be something very natural, right? And we get paid for it. So with this, the research that was done with a whole bunch of enterprises. So these are billion-dollar companies who are also looking into communities for their brands. And Rachel Happy found that your investment in communities, actually rise per member up to around 3 years, the 3 to 4 year mark. And then after that, the community pays for itself. So this looks at sort of the long-term investment in communities and why they matter and how they can matter. Now, if you translated this into a Bitcoin world or in a MetaNet world with micropayments, the cost may actually be reduced. So this is what we find fascinating and what we wish to explore in this ecosystem and that overlap. So this was a message from Rachel Happy in the research as well. She was talking about, in this groundbreaking work that represents 5+ years of research, it shows the average value add by both the organization and community. and the individual into a community and the value gain that each get out. The kicker, both have to be willing to share the value. So from the company side to the member side, both do have to understand the shared value, why they are both needed. And now often you'll find that there's always this us versus them when it comes to those who are in power and those who feel disempowered, all right? This dichotomy keeps playing out time and time again, whether you're talking about politics or even within a business, right? The most harmonious situation is when you have a group of people where those who are sort of leading the organization and those who are members understand each other's inherent purpose, right? Because it usually becomes a power struggle within communities, right? And if trust has not been built or respected, right? And this is where accountability comes in and why Bitcoin will matter when it comes to online community behavior in the future. I've shared this here to actually show you as well, like just from the analytics side, since 2004 up until now, the terms for community manager and social media manager have been on the rise. And there's very good reason for this. For a social media manager, you can see that with the rise of social platforms, social networking platforms, it's gone up. But look at community manager, the actual volume has been much higher. And this is because Facebook even realized that once they got to a certain point in building out their network, they try to use the word community, but you can't have a 1 billion person community. The sense of community is one that is really more dependent on close connections, right? Intimate relationships, deep relationships. As soon as you move beyond around 150 members, you actually start to lose that. And this is actually kind of talked about in Craig Wright's own small world network analysis of Bitcoin, or how he created it. Small world networks are literally communities, right? And so this is where I find Bitcoin very fascinating, because all the work that I and we at Faiā have been doing around communities actually connects very well with Bitcoin as a fundamental system. And I'll show more about like what Craig Wright, Satoshi Nakamoto has been talking about. Really digs deep into sound communities for the future. Because if you look at how communities grow as well, the money financial aspect is a big part of keeping these communities healthy as well. You cannot ignore the role that trade and money plays out within communities. So what do communities look like in Bitcoin? I'm sharing this tweets from Satoshi Doodles because she did a great job of actually summarizing an episode of mine from a show that I have on YouTube called The It Will Come Show. And I was talking about brand archetypes. And essentially, Bitcoin has 3 brand archetypes: the BTCers, the BCHers, Bitcoin Cash, and the BSVers, Bitcoin SV. So with these archetypes, there are 12 brand archetypes. And essentially, BTCers, I've categorized them as the everyman archetype. All right, so they're trying to appeal to the everyday person who can Lambo, make money from doing nothing, etc. Bitcoin Cash on the right, outlaw, rebel. They're more about anti-government, anti-authority, and they are over here, rebel, leave a mark on the world. And then BSVers, the culture that has been sort of created now is the ruler over here, which is typically about control, but control is not a bad thing, right? It's actually about providing structure. So they help people to have more control and structure in their lives. But I would actually put probably BSV somewhere between the ruler and sage, so understanding and control. So these are essentially what the communities look like from a brand archetype standpoint. And if I'm looking from the lens of marketing and communities, right, this is how I would look at them. And this is how I would shape the messaging and communications to be able to appeal to the right people. Understanding this allows you to see our own biases. So current problems in the space is we often have this issue where the groups and communities become a bit too cultish. And nothing wrong with that. This all can also be the sign of a good, healthy community. But if it's not welcoming enough and it becomes a bit standoffish, that's where you run into problems. So even in the BSV ecosystem, it can get like that. And I've seen every sort of Bitcoin split, same thing happen. BTC, BCH, BSV, us versus them mentality can be detrimental in the long run. There's lack of strong dev tools and community currently, but I think that's growing. And I think if you look at the Ethereum ecosystem and community, they actually have very strong dev tools to support. There is a brewing litigious culture in the BSV side. which I'm not particularly a fan of, but it's a reality. And then also not respecting perception. So this is on the marketing side. So there's a lot of people who are really on the technical side, which is great, but you cannot ignore the marketing communication side, because that is a perception and it can be to the detriment of the ecosystem. So potential solutions for Bitcoin communities is to actually stop talking about the tech in general. Within developer communities and your own teams, great. But I think to the outside world, and if we want to appeal to the masses, so that means getting outside of the BSV ecosystem and echo chamber, you're gonna have to start talking about actual use cases and how you're solving people's real problems. Talk more about the use cases, build sub-communities. So sub-communities are good. So you're gonna typically look at groups of 150 for really strong sub-communities. This relates to something called the Dunbar number. I'll share more in the chat. And then just doing things differently, right? If you want to grab people's attention, I know Kevin Pham is on the event right now. He's one of the personalities that, they do know how to do things differently to capture attention, because it is sort of an attention economy as well in current day, and you can't ignore that. And so in terms of the future of Bitcoin communities, there are some notable groups, right? We have Twetch, who are doing some great things. I think they know how to sort of foster like intimacy as well through their micropayments network. You got Handcash Connect, who did a really good job of getting people to use and feel attached to the brand of Handcash. Connect is a service that will be coming out soon. And I think Handcash have a real good opportunity to actually leverage off of proper community building, but we shall see. And then the Cambrian SV guys, they've been doing this through offline events. And I think it's a really good first step. And I look forward to seeing more of what they have in store as well. And then finally, in terms of why I'm doing today's presentation, is to also share. Here is actually a snapshot from a YouTube video from Craig Wright about Bitcoin layer networks. All right, so this is where I was talking about how Craig is talking about communities in the sense of mining communities and the Bitcoin layer network. And so I've been diving very deeply into the Bitcoin layer network and to understand more about how that will tie into some of the work that we're doing. And so we're pretty excited about that side. And then finally, so talking about the future of communities, I thought that we would actually share sort of our next venture. And this is something that's been brewing for years in the background, but the timing we felt is now right. So we are essentially soft launching through this event our next company called Onna. So Onna, if you go to that URL, www.onna.io right now, you'll see a landing page with some very simple text telling you a little bit more about what it's about. And you can, if you subscribe for updates, you'll get updated on what we're going to be doing. And essentially, it's a social accountability platform that leverages off of some work we've seen in another group that we've been running for the last 5 years called the PAC, which is all to do with productivity and accountability. And so what we're doing is leveraging our love for communities and productivity with BSV just essentially moving into the background as it should be. So our sort of internal mission or challenge is going to be actually going out to the world and talking about Onna and the mission and the vision without using Bitcoin once. Maybe for developers who are interested in the background, but we're not going to be talking about Bitcoin at all. So this, you should see stuff come out from us over the next quarter. So stay tuned. We'll have another announcement at around CoinGeek time in October. But with that, I got about 10 seconds. So thank you very much. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, you can find me at @Siosism or at Firecourt for the business.
Thanks so much, George.
Great.
Excellent. Thanks so much, George. That was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so thanks so much, George. That was absolutely fantastic and a great insight into communities and rebooting communities. So we're going to have a 5-minute sort of intermission now, and yeah, feel free to note down some of your questions. If you've got any sort of insights or suggestions or questions for George, feel free to reach out to George, and I really highly recommend that you guys start to use the chat. Yes, and we're super excited about Onna as well. So feel free to type in www.honor.io and have a look at that, register for that. And our next speaker will be Wang Fuqiang. So he's the co-founder and product manager for Vault, and we're going to have a conversational interview style session. And so I'll be asking Fuqiang some questions about Vault, and I'm really excited to learn about this this app, this BSV powered wallet. So that will be in approximately 2 minutes. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this platform. Feel free to write your kind of thoughts on Hopin. Understandably, it might feel a bit weird to start with, but hoping that you'll start to get used to it. And we find it's really engaging. And yeah, excellent. So and also we have a poll up as well. So the poll at the moment is: how many BSV wallets do you own? X. Too many, 6 to 10, 3 to 6, 1, 3, or 1. Hello, here we go. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Fuqiang.
You're happy to be here.
Excellent.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, welcome to Reboot, and I'm looking forward to learning more about Vault and yourself, and yeah, going from there. So how's China at the moment?
You mean China? You mean that it's great?
Yeah, that's where
everything's back to normal.
China, right?
Yeah.
Excellent, cool.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do for Fuqiang, I'm going to start to ask you a few questions,
Sure.
And then we'll get going. And as I said, welcome the listeners and audience to write questions for Q&A as well. All right, so first question for you, Fuqiang, is: so what's your background and experience, and how did your BSV journey begin?
Okay, so I have worked at Oppo and OnePlus. These are two smartphone manufacturers in China, and later I was sent to India when they started to expand their business in India. At that time, there were many Chinese people working in India, and they were facing a difficulty in transferring their money back to China. So I have already invested in Bitcoin at the time in 2013 and 14. So I helped my colleagues and other Chinese to send their salary savings from rupees to Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin to Chinese RMB back to China. So, and in 2017, when I talked with my partner and other friends to do some research on what we can do on Bitcoin, we started researching, and we have found that that time there was a debate on scaling, and BCH was born, and later BSV was born. And first we built some applications on BSV, like the first email application and an on-chain storage app. We also built a very simple mnemonic words-based wallet, but it turned out not to be working well. As everybody knows, all mnemonic words wallet systems requires users to put down 12 words. Mm-hmm. And that time we had less than 1,000 users, but about 8 or 9 users reported losing their mnemonic words. So they lost their backup, and they asked us to help recovering their funds. But we can do nothing, right? So, and at the same time, from early 2018, we started researching on threshold signature. And finally, we found a way to build a wallet system that doesn't require users to put down 12 words or private keys. Because I think for majority of people, for ordinary people, it's a very complicated thing. And it's against human nature to require that every user always remember or memorize 12 words or private keys forever. Actually, in reality, a lot of people just put down the 12 words a piece of paper or in a thumb drive and keep it in place that they might forget later on after some month or years.
Mm-hmm.
And if you there's a study that says the major cause of asset loss is due to the backup accident, which means that users lose their backup forever. In that situation, their money are gone forever. So this is one of the urgent priorities we should solve for adoption of Bitcoin. If people lose their asset very easily, this just scare people away from using Bitcoin. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. No, so that's you've definitely had a strong journey into Bitcoin SV and BSV. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm the same. I've used the I've different wallets, and I've also had to write down in a piece of paper all those words, or even try and remember them. Yes. And it's very difficult. And even though I wrote it down on a piece of paper, I'm pretty sure I've lost that paper. I don't know where that piece of paper is as well. So this will definitely be a great thing. So, and I've also, before I move on to the next question, I've downloaded the Vault app, and I really like how it works. And so this is what it looks like. So it's nice and simple. So I'll move on to the next question here, which you've kind of answered a little bit here, Fuqiang. So I'm just going to ask anyway, so we can have a good insight anyway. So what are the exciting specific features of Vault, and how will they ultimately benefit the users?
I think we make the wallet simpler to use than ever, and secure, and more secure at the same time. If you look at the wallet solutions, the security part, they make it like code wallet and hardware wallet. It improves security in some sense, but it makes the wallet harder to use. It makes the wallet more difficult to use. Bitcoin is built to be used, not to be just stored, right? If you use the hardware wallet or code wallet, it's very difficult to use. But Vault, for the first time, have made it more secure and simpler to use at the same time. We have used the facial recognition. It works in this way that, so users first sign up with their email and input their verification code. And then done, the wallet is set up. Then if users click receive funds, the wallet will require them to scan face to extract their facial data, the raw data to be stored and attached to their email ID. So later on, if users recover a wallet from a new device, they'll just enter their email ID, enter the verification code, and scan a face to verify if he or she is the original owner. So in this way, the wallet is very easy to use. And another feature that is very important is that asset inheritance. It will be released in a few days. This feature also solves the problem that a lot of users, they forget their wallet backup, or users die or any other accidents happen to the owner of a wallet. In mnemonic words or private key solution, if the user have accidents or die, then assets is lost forever. They're unable to transfer the money to their loved ones or friends or family members. So asset inheritance is a feature that allows users to set up a successor plan, an inheritance plan, by simply putting the payment ID of their successor and set up time period, any inactivity period. If this time condition is met or triggered, the money or the asset will transfer to their successor automatically. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, there are a lot more. Yeah, there are a lot more. But I think
so those are the key features. So yes, I really love how you've really focused and emphasized the simplicity of it, because the importance of that is that's going to really help the potential adoption and wide scale adoption of it as BSV scales as well. Because in my experience, people have got so many different apps or so many things to use, And if it's easy to use, it looks nice and simple, and it's simplified, it makes it way easier to use. And I really like the immediate asset, the way it's simplified in a way where if you lose the compared to other wallets, you don't actually have to have those the words written down, and it makes it simple to transfer digital. Yes. So it's absolutely great. So but you said that's only there's quite a few more features, is there?
And pardon?
Are there any additional features that you'd like to share as well for Vault?
Yes. Users are able to accept that. Users are able to set more accounts. He can set, like, you can create more accounts for different purposes, for personal savings or for business purposes. And there's a feature very similar to multi-sig, but much more superior. You can set like a shared accounts. If you're able to, you're planning to set up an education fund for your kids, you can just set up. Later, I will do a very simple demo to explain this. And there are many more, except that for application access, we're building a platform like very similar to App Store. So users can connect with other applications with a simple tab within Vault. And there will be, like, we're working closely with Script to deliver a very simple, like, smart contract solution to push forward this application development among the BSV community.
Wow, that is I love that as well, because you're not just for adults that are using it, you're encompassing children and the next generation to start to use the simplicity of your solution, and also utilizing the smart contract. So it's really exciting for what your solution is as well. And I love how you've emphasized community as well, and how this is contributing to help build communities as well, which is what we're definitely looking to build and promote and share. So this is really exciting. So really appreciate you sharing this with me. So and the audience as well. And again, I encourage some questions for the audience. So next question, Fuqiang, is so why are you so focused on BSV and so passionate about BSV and Bitcoin SV?
I think it's pretty clear. We have spent a lot of time on researching on blockchain platforms. We have did some research on Bitcoin, BTC, BCH, and Ethereum. It's pretty clear that if you want to build a business and products that to be used by millions or tens of millions of people, you have to find a scalable platform and build products on a scalable platform. It's now clear that the BSV is the only public blockchain that have solved the scaling issue. There's basically no limits on TPS. It's pretty clear. So for application developers that is doing a long-term business, if you want to build a scalable application, it's pretty clear you have to build on BSV right now. And the situation right now is that we lack tools. It's pretty clear. That's why we're working with other parties like Script to deliver simple solutions. And Vault itself is a solution. It's not only a wallet for both individual and institutional users to store their assets, but it also serves as a very simple solution for application developers. Because in order for applications to scale and for mass adoption, you have to build on a very simple platform for ordinary users to adopt. 90% of users, they're scared away from like mnemonic words-based wallet system.
So that's I love how you're sharing with the audience your solution, that it's, because for me, initially when I was using it, and I really like the simplicity of Vault, is that I initially thought it was literally just an app for a wallet. I didn't even realize that there was so much more scale and scope for what you're saying there. So what specifically would you like to see developed using this solution more in the future?
You mean our plan into the future? Or
yeah. It's kind of leading on to the next question as well. So, sort of specifically, what have you? Yeah, what are your next kind of next stages, your next plan for the next couple of years?
Sure.
And then moving on to the next question is wider sort of more long-term vision. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that sort of specifically, and also more sort of wide-scale vision.
Sure. So I think two parts. One is the technology we're using. Why Vote has delivered such a simple product is that we used a threshold signature and built a new model. It's called Threshold, which basically means when users set up a wallet, Vote wallet, there's no private key involved. It works like upon creation. There are three parts of like data stored in Votes and user's device and on the third-party trust holder. There are three parts. So the three parts data are used for computation. A computation means that a user signing a transaction or recovering a wallet, there's a computation between two parties, any two of these three parties. So in that situation, even if the user's device is stolen or his backup is lost forever, a user can easily initiate a recovery of his wallet on a new device simply by verifying his identity through facial recognition and email verification. After Vote and trust holder verify the user identity, then trust hold and Vote agree to do a computation and recover the wallet for the user. So this is the core technology behind the solution, the Vote solution. We're ready. We're willing to make this technology readily available to other players for wallet suppliers like Handcash, like any other RelayX, etc. So we're planning to build that solution into a very simple to use cloud service, so they don't have to do everything from zero again, because that'll cost a lot of time and development. And this is one part. And another part is that I already talked. We're working very closely with other parties like Script and Maxxthon to build solutions for developers and very simple to use products for end users. Yeah.
Excellent. So I really like how you shared with the audience the sort of scale of collaboration as well, and openness to help previous developers or even wallets that are in the BSV space now, because that's going to help. You're actually solving a problem by saving time as well. So that's in turn, I can see that's going to help the space at the moment, the ecosystem that's current, that all the work's been done to this point, and then what you're helping to do is save time, because you're allowing people and developers to pick up from where you've sort of finished. So it's a really great way of the community to help each other. So and there's only a certain amount of time we have, and also another quick question: what are your thoughts on the time frame that it's BSV has taken from when you got into it, when you started to build your solutions, to now? What do you think would create more speed of development compared to how it's been in the past? What practical solutions or ideas that you can suggest that's going to help speed up development adoption of BSV?
I think it's very important to build very simple to use developer tools, especially smart contract. I think Script is doing a very important job. If you look back, already 11 years has passed since Bitcoin was born. Considering that BSV is less than 2 years old, it has already done a very huge progress. But we have to do a lot more in order to push the adoption and development faster. And I think the most important is the smart contract, because this will allow very interesting, scalable applications, consumer applications to be done very fastly. Yeah.
Excellent.
If you compare with other platforms, like a lot of applications on Ethereum, but there is argument that they're useless or they're a gambling application. But indeed, there are some very interesting applications being built on Ethereum. But the problem is that Ethereum is not scalable. Yeah, we have to push the smart contract faster to enable developers building consumer applications like Twitch, this kind of applications, and other financial applications on top of BSV. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So your recommendation would be to speed it up. Would be for developers and people in the ecosystem to focus more on smart contracts, and that'll definitely help. So, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Sorry.
You go.
Just the short part. Okay, there are two parts. In order to push the overall ecosystem forward, there are two parts. One is developer, and the second part is user. For users, we need very simple and secure to access platforms, wallet solutions like Vault. Vault has already solved that problem. But for developers, we have to build very simple to use tools, very powerful tools, very diverse tools to meet the demands of developers, and that has to be done by I think other players like Scripta, Maxxthon, etc. I think they're working on that, but still we're not doing enough. Yeah.
Sure. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, so just you mentioned Maxxthon as well, so that's going to be Jeff Chen. He's our last speaker, so he'll be able to share with Maxxthon and Maxxthon 6 as well. So that'll be interesting to hear as well. So and we're almost up with time here, so we've got
time is up.
So again, I really appreciate your time, and I'm definitely
thank you.
learning a lot about Vault, and looking forward to seeing more progress with Vault and yourself, Fuqiang.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so all right, guys. So yeah, that was a really great insight to Vault, and yeah, I recommend for you, if you haven't done it so far, to so just download the Vault app if you haven't done so far. And so another just under 5 minutes before we move to the next speaker, which will be Shashank Singhal, and of Codugh. And so we do have the poll as well. So yeah, feel free to answer that, and also again encourage you guys to pop your questions in the chat. So if you've thought of any questions from our first speaker, George Siosi Samuels, and then our second speaker with Wang Fuqiang, so please feel free to add those in. And yeah, again, I hope you guys are really enjoying this format. I know I am. I really like the sort of speed networking, and the way that it is quite engaging. You can kind of go to the main stage. You can go to different areas. You can have a chat with people and connect. So that'll be at the end of the event. There will, again, just a reminder, there will be a time after the Q&A session where you can go to the networking area, and then just co-mingle. You can chat with others, you can connect, and go from there. So let's have a look how we're going for time. So we've got the next speaker coming on soon, and again, I'm really enjoying learning from all our speakers. So we've had quick review. We've had George Siosi Samuels of sharing about rebooting communities, and again, it's exciting how the communities are starting to. Hey, George, how's it going?
Yeah, I thought I'd just come on, chat with you while we wait for our next speaker in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. How's any have you linked to quick question for you, George. What did you how did you find the networking, the commingling and the speed networking for the 2 minutes?
Yeah, no, I thought, I mean, personally, I loved it because it one allows you to put some faces to names, and that's always great. And sometimes something that can be lost, right, when you're doing online events, because you have a whole lot of viewers, and you don't really have the option sometimes when you're listening to speakers to actually connect with other audience members. And because, we're talking about the community side, what we really want to show people is how do we get people, even in online virtual events, to connect with each other, not just one directional. So I think Shashank is ready in the background, so we might be able to start a little bit earlier. So
yeah, sounds great.
Let's just see if we can get him. So I'll just go off for a bit.
Excellent. Thanks, George.
No worries. Thank you, Adam. And hope everybody's enjoying the event. Shashank should be coming in soon. I'll be gone now.
Yes. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Shashank. Yes, so welcome our next speaker, Shashank, and from Codugh. And
Codugh.
take this. The stage is yours. I'm really looking forward to it. And just to mention, I'll be coming back on for a quick Q&A with you, which so we can learn more. All right, take it away.
That sounds great. Let me just share my screen here. Yep, excellent. Do you guys all see that? Let me just hop on, make sure that looks okay. One sec, sorry guys. Yep, okay, excellent. Thanks, George. Make sure that looks okay. Yep, I see that there. And okay, cool. Well, good afternoon and good morning, everyone. It's really good to depending on where you are in APAC. It's really good to be here at the APAC meetup, and I look forward to chatting to all of you in the networking sessions afterwards. I see some familiar faces in the chat and some new ones as well. So it's really good to see that mix. So I'm here today to talk to you about Codugh, which is the on-demand API marketplace. Before I jump in, let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Shashank Singhal, and I'm one of the co-founders at Codugh. A bit about my background: I've worked as both a product manager and as a developer for several years. I became interested in Bitcoin around 2016, but I never built anything on Bitcoin until early 2019, after the birth of BSV. Now, this was because the unique properties of BSV being, massive blocks, huge scaling, microtransactions, obviously, and a dedication to a stable protocol really appealed to me. And they really got the business ideas flowing off the bat. So that's when I started building on BSV and got the ball rolling there. Now, before I jump into my talk, let me quickly cover what Codugh is and what we do for those of you who don't know. So Codugh is an API marketplace powered by BSV. Now, I understand some of the audience here today is non-technical, so let me quickly explain what an API is. So API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's essentially an interface through which an application can speak to another application. So let me give you a quick example of that. Let's take What's on Chain. So I hope many of you are familiar with the block explorer What's on Chain. You can put in an address or transaction ID or similar things to that, and it will check the blockchain and return you data about your address, such as your balance and about your transaction, if that's the route you went for. So an API is essentially the same thing, but for a program. So What's on Chain also offers an API. And as a developer, if I want to check the address of the balance in a wallet address, then I can use What's on Chain's API to do that. And my program can simply send a call to What's on Chain, and then What's on Chain can check the blockchain. It will add up all the spent transactions and spit them back out, send me the balance, and all I have to do is just ask them for that instead of having to do all that work myself. So that's essentially what an API is. And what Codugh does is it allows a usage of APIs. So people can list their APIs on Codugh, and the usage is billed per API call with instant payment. So each time I ask What's on Chain for that address, for example, I would be charged a microtransaction, depending on how much they value that a single call of that API. Now, this means that developers can monetize their code by creating APIs and receiving money per call. This means that application developers can build better applications with more functionality for a fraction of the cost. Now, APIs have traditionally been offered for free. This is because there's no good way to monetize APIs currently. Existing methods often involve monthly subscriptions, which involve big overhead and early commitment from API consumers and application developers, which has caused a lot of friction and a lot of and lack of uptake in API monetization in the past. So thanks to BSV, this allows us to pay our users per call in a microtransaction, which means that they only pay for what they use when they use it. So last time you heard from us was in London. So let me give you a quick update on what we've been doing since then. So we've been alpha testing on our platform. So this has involved testing out our features, listing things on our platform, getting people involved, and making sure that we're building the right thing in the right direction. We've collected a lot of valuable user feedback because of that, which we've used to iterate our platform and improve upon the small UX features, and so that when the platform is launched, it will be perfectly usable for the people. And we've been securing our platform, so that's fixing up any bugs and potential security flaws involved. There's some more things that we've been doing since then. So I'm super excited to announce from our end here today our agreement between Codugh and Tal. Now, we're really excited about the impact Codugh can make on the BSV ecosystem and the wider world by itself. But working alongside Tal allows us to make a much bigger splash and much sooner with the help of their resources and our partnership. Now, as part of this agreement, Tal has taken an equity stake in Codugh. And furthermore, Tal will be monetizing part of their merchant API offering on Codugh. So as Tal builds out that feature, you'll start to see some of those things on the Codugh platform, and that's where you'll be able to use them by paying microtransactions per call. So as this shows, Codugh provides seamless integration with existing APIs and allows you to monetize them. So this allows businesses and developers to extract value where previously it's not been found. So if you're a business or a developer with an existing set of APIs, I strongly recommend you look into this because you can easily find value, and it integrates with just a few steps. So I've talked a lot about Codugh, but let me jump into it and show you guys exactly how it works. So here's an example of the Codugh dashboard. And let me jump into available APIs. So as you can see, I've just listed a simple one here, and let me create one for you. So what I'm going to be using for this example is a Polynym API. So for those of you who don't know Polynym, it was developed by the Bitping team, formerly known as Uptime SV. And essentially what it does is it takes a hand cache handle, a relay handle, or a paymail address as a parameter in the API. And then what it does is it returns the corresponding BSV address to that payment handle. So obviously, as an application, I can't just send money easily to a hand cache handle, right? So I need a way to convert that to a BSV address. Then I can send money to that BSV address, and it will show up in your hand cache. So let me set the value there to. So what I'm setting it there is to 1/6 of a cent. So it's a microtransaction, a very small amount of money. Let me grab the endpoint here, and I have to make it dynamic. So because I have to be able to put it in my handle as part of that path. So now if I jump into here, it will show me how to use it. So quite simply, this is the gateway to Codugh. So the gateway essentially reroutes your request. So it'll go through Codugh, it'll bill you and authenticate you, and then it will reroute your request to the API that you requested, which is in this case is the Polynym API. So for this example, I'm going to be using Postman to show you guys how it works. For those of you who don't know what Postman is, it's essentially a tool that allows you to debug and quickly test APIs, which makes it much easier for me to show you in this example rather than trying to run it through a program, which is clunky and problematic for a live demonstration. So this shows you sort of what the simple instruction, what you need to do. You can fill out more complex ones for if you're really listing an API on the platform. But for simplicity's sake, for now, I will just run through it. So I need these headers as part of my request. What these do is they authenticate me to Codugh. So when I'm calling this API here, Codugh knows through my ID and through my secret who I am and who to bill for this request. So now when I send through this request, you can see, there we go. So I've got a successful API call. I've been charged a very small amount of BSV, and this is the address it returns. So this is the corresponding address to this handle, to this hand cache handle here. So if you called Polynym directly, it would send you just this part, just this address and this handle. But then we've sort of added to that through Codugh. So hopefully that's simple enough. Let me show you one more example. So if I jump back into my APIs, you can now see it's been called one time, and you can see that you've earned 1/6%. So that'll add on as more and more people call it. So let me show you one more example. And what I'm going to show you is the What's on Chain Explorer API. The reason why I'm doing this is is because it's a very simple post request. Get Explorer links. So it's called Get Explorer links, but it's a post request that essentially returns whether the string that you attach to it is an address or a transaction ID. So it tells you what kind of address it is, and then it gives you a What's on Chain link that connects you to the What's on Chain front end, so you can easily understand it. So let me just write What's on Chain team as part of this. So yep, I've explained the description, so I won't bother listing it out. Let me just say returns links. And let me type that, and I'll make it a post request. And there's my thing. So obviously this would usually be dynamic, but I'm just using the mainnet, so I'm going to leave that as it is. Excellent. So it showed up here. So let me jump into it. And so these are the same headers to identify me within the platform, which I've already listed in the API. So what I need to change is this here. So now essentially what I'm doing again is sending another request to What's on Chain instead, and it's going through Codugh first to verify it. Now, this documentation is available in What's on Chain on how to call this properly. I didn't write it out just then when listing the API. But essentially what you have to do is you have to just write a query, and you have to put in an address or a TXID or something in this format. So I'm just going to use the address that I got here in my previous response from Polynym as part of that query handle. And let's make it look a little bit nicer. There we go. And now I'm going to send this request through. There we go. So as we can see, I've gotten a successful response again from What's on Chain. So we can see it's a type of address. So the string I've put in here is telling me it's an address, and it's telling me the front end. So this is exactly what the What's on Chain API would return if called directly, but I've been billed for it through the BSV platform. So now if I jump back here, you can see again it's been called another time, and I've been billed another 1/6%. Yeah, excellent. So let me jump back through to here. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope it wasn't too complex. And I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat in a bit later, and of course in the networking sessions afterwards. Now let me put this down. Now I have one final announcement for you guys today, and I'm thrilled about this one. And what I'm announcing to you is the release of our closed beta product. And that will be on July 5th. So we'll be releasing a closed beta to our waitlist on the 5th of July. And if you're a business, a developer, an aspiring developer, and you're not yet on our waitlist, please sign up at www.codugh.com and be part of our waitlist. And that way you can be part of our closed beta program. We'd really love to have you. Great. So that segues well into my Q&A session with Adam, who's on screen now. So yeah,
there we go. That was great. Thanks so much, and congratulations on your partnership for Codugh. Codugh. Sorry, I did it again. I'm going to make.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
And yeah, congratulations on the partnership with Tal. So we can have a quick chat about this as well. And yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your solution, and also how you simplified it for the audience that's not so au fait with BSV, which is in case the audience doesn't know, Bitcoin SV. So that's really great to hear. So would you be able to share with the audience how your Tal partnership came about, and what Tal is and what they do, and how you foresee this is going to really help your solution and your product and company scale and help the users as well?
Yeah, of course. So Tal, for those of you who don't know, is a miner within the Bitcoin SV ecosystem, and they're pioneering sort of a new system of mining, which they call transaction processing. And essentially that's feeds fees into the system. So traditionally miners within Bitcoin SV and all types of Bitcoin are rewarded through block rewards primarily. But block rewards are halved every few years. So Tal is trying to make it so that soon, over the next few years, the majority of their income comes through fees rather than block rewards, which is a more sustainable long-term model. So how our deal came out, Tal actually approached us because they understood that our offering sort of fit into their vision. And after a bit of discussion with them, we came to this agreement to that I mentioned earlier. And how it will enhance our product, we'll have tile APIs on our product, of course, which will a lot of them will be sort of very useful to the BSV ecosystem and developers when needing to call certain features on the merchant API as it comes out. And yeah, like hopefully it adds a lot of confidence for businesses and enterprises on our platform, knowing that there's already one there using it.
Excellent. Now that's great. So yeah, they approached you, so you must be on the radar there, and it's great. What would you recommend, if anything, to other sort of BSV developers or companies that would perhaps want or need some investment, for companies like, for example, Tile, or other companies like that can help the partnership to help scale?
Yeah, of course. Well, if you're looking for investment within the BSV ecosystem, the best way is just to show you have a product that users want. So that means going out there, talking to users, hopefully getting users. And if you can prove that successfully, you have something that people want, people need, and you have a good team to build it, then the discussions start themselves. Yeah,
excellent. No, that's a great way to do it. So with you mentioned the vision the Tile's vision aligns with what your solution is and Codugh. So would you be able to share with the audience what Tile's sort of long-term vision is, and how that marries nicely with what you're doing and what Codough's doing?
Yeah, well, so as I briefly mentioned earlier, so Tile wants to transition more to a transaction fee economy and sort of different revenue streams rather than just block rewards for miners. So that also involves getting revenue fees from application developers. So it's very expensive for miners to do things like crawl the blockchain and find data. So Tile wants to add a price to that. So when they offer their merchant API, it'll sort of certain things within it will be priced, because that they're providing value to the application developer by doing this work to find this data. So they want to be able to get some reward for that. And that's sort of going to be a long-term solution. The longer the blockchain grows, the more expensive and the more difficult it becomes for miners to provide these services that they've been providing for free in the past.
Right. Okay. Now, excellent. So with the definition of transaction processes, that I know that's being because it's importance of words, and for that to help the people who are not quite across BSV or Bitcoin at SV. So transaction processes are essentially miners. And where do you foresee how BSV and the transition to transaction processing, alongside Tile? Are you optimistic about the speed of growth in this area, or what do you kind of foresee in the next even 6 months to a year, and then beyond? What do you foresee?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, you can see people like Tile and Mempool already moving to this merchant to API model, and they're already sort of putting out these new offerings where developers talk directly to them and pay fees directly to them, so they can sort of have a better fee-based model. And of those two are the main miners who are sort of pioneering this moving forward. And I'm sure as new miners come into BSV and as old miners see that these people are making way more money by doing this, they'll transition to that model as well. Obviously, I mean, we saw Tile mine a couple of 300 megabyte blocks, and they made over 1 BSV in just fees in those blocks, which is pretty crazy. Based on current trajectory, yeah. So and then going into the long term, it's good to see that they're starting really early. So we're still getting 6.25 BSV, I believe, per block. So there's still a sort of a long way to go before there's no block rewards left. And since they're starting so early, they have several years to build up this economy enough that they have the fee-based economy providing for it. And I'm very confident, based on what I've seen so far, that they will be able to make that transition in time.
Excellent. I'm definitely optimistic about it. And just meeting and specifically yourself, Shashank, and also the speakers before, and even with looking back into and reminiscing the event in CoinGeek London just before COVID happened. The people that I'm connecting with and meeting, and just meeting you for the first time as well, it's definitely in safe hands. And I've said it a few times before, is the intelligence and how bright the people are, and just share and simplifying solutions and collaborating with other companies, for example, Tal, and then coming on to and sharing your views and your product with the wider audience, for example, at the at Reboot here in APAC BSV. It's definitely, I'm definitely excited about what's going to happen, because in the short term, 6 months, and even long term, and it's really exciting, because I'm relatively new to this, and I'm learning a lot now, and so I can just see that it's definitely going to scale quite quickly, and it's in good hands. Have you? What also briefly, a question that's arisen is, what's your? Do you have any plans to build a bigger team, or do you have any sort of growth plans yourself for Codugh?
Yeah, so that's something that we're looking into over the near future. So over the next couple of months, it's just me and my co-founder Andrew. So we've been working on this together since the beginning. So we're just knocking out the product, and then a couple of months from now, we expect to face a couple of hurdles that it will take us time to overcome ourselves, and that's when we'll start looking to hire outside, depending on our specific needs at the time. Definitely,
and I can see that Tal, the partnership between Tal and yourself and your company it's that you're starting very, very early. So you and it sounds as if you're in front, cutting edge, bleeding edge, in front of the wave before it happens. So it's going to have that advantage, and I can see that it's going to scale quite quickly once it starts to gain traction. And also we're almost up to time. However, just got a last quick question. Are you planning on? Are you going to be at CoinGeek New York?
Yeah, I mean, if permitted. So it's obviously difficult to project that far. I mean, I don't even know if we'll be allowed to leave the country for that purpose at that point by then. So there's
go, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a lot of question marks around there. But hopefully, I do hope to be there. And if possible, I will be.
Awesome. All right. So is there anything else? We've just got a minute left before we move on. Have you got anything else you'd like to share with the audience? So I know you shared some great insights and also some announcements. So was there a specific beta closed beta test that you wanted? Did you have a date on that?
Yeah, exactly. So I said that in my announcement earlier. July 5th is the date when we're going to release our closed beta to our waitlist. So you can go onto our site right now and sign up for our waitlist, and that will give you access to a closed beta when we release it on July 5th.
Excellent. So July 5th is the date. And what's the site that people can go to?
www.codugh.com. That's Codugh.
Got it. Perfect. Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, and it's great to meet you. And I really appreciate you sharing your announcements and solutions with us today.
Thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, excellent, guys. So we've got another 5 minutes sort of intermission before we move to the last the final speaker, which I'm really excited for, is Jeff Chen and Maxxthon 6, which there's definitely been some excitement for that brewing as well. And so again, I encourage you guys to ask you questions. We've queued up a few questions that have been coming through for the speakers so far in preparation for the Q&A session, which will be after this next speaker, Jeff Chen of Maxxthon. So again, I hope you guys are enjoying this new new platform that we're using, which is Hopin. And again, you after the event, feel free to connect with others to continue the conversation. If you've got any future sort of questions that haven't arisen yet, but kind of spring to mind later on, feel free to connect with us as well. And you'll get a Hopin will send you a feedback, bit of feedback to fill out. That'd be great if you could do that. And all right, so where are we? Yep. So Jeff will be on shortly, and yeah, super excited to hear from Jeff. When I was at to share a quick one with you, when I was at CoinGeek in London, first time I saw Jeff Chen speak on stage there, I was just drawn in. The enthusiasm from Jeff, and I was still quite new to BSV. I was just drawn in. I was like, oh, this is so exciting what he was sharing, and his presence on the stage when he was sharing his solution. So really looking forward to introducing our next speaker, Jeff, very soon. And yeah, so if you're not familiar with Jeff's work, Jeff Chen's work for Maxxthon, it is a browser that it's built upon the BSV Bitcoin SV blockchain, and it's gaining momentum. Oh, hey George, how you going?
How's it going? Just thought I'd keep you company.
Yeah, thank you. I love this. This is great. I'm loving this this platform. It works really well. And yeah, how are you finding it?
Yeah, it's been quite smooth, especially for speakers and for those of us working in the background. Because definitely been involved in a few events where it gets quite messy.
And this is good with virtual events. There's probably going to be a few more of these in the future, and I'm glad we can kind of start off with this one. How are you finding BSV? How are you finding Reboot?
Yeah, good. I mean, there's definitely been some interesting discussions and topics and things presented. Definitely want to help highlight more of what's coming out of the Asia Pacific area, because I know even in the BSV ecosystem, there's a lot of spotlight put on the rest of the world, and I think there's just a lot of underdogs from the East. And I'll classify ourselves as the East part. And so, yeah, I think it's just very important to be able to share this and also have an event in our own time zone, right? Because
definitely, yeah. And because it's otherwise there's the difference in England or those sort of Northern Hemisphere countries. It's really difficult to kind of tee up and line up those dates, because it's can be a bit of a problem. But I'm really enjoying it.
Yep. So we're just trying to get Jeff on.
Just preparing in
should
backstage.
Be here soon. Okay.
Hello.
There we go.
Jeff, welcome to the stage. And so welcome, Jeff, and looking forward to hearing about Maxxthon 6 and yourself. So the stage is yours.
Thank you, everyone. So glad to be here. I composed a video that will introduce our latest progress on Maxxthon 6 and the decentralized domain system. Let me see it. Sorry, need to cast.
That's all right. Just thought I'd Jeff hop on. Everything all right?
Yeah, I need to share my screen. Let me see if I share the whole screen.
Yeah. Once that's up, there you go.
Can you see my video? Hello, everyone. Remote meeting rocks. I'm so glad to be able to meet all of you from home. Today, I want to continue our journey to build a new internet using blockchain. I believe many of you still remember Codugh London. It's a great conference. I met so many great guys and saw so many great projects. I also shared my idea about how we can build our new internet based on BSV blockchain. I shared several areas I'm more interested in. The first is decentralized domain. Second is global ID. Third is Maxxthon 6 and Reboot. Now, 4 months has passed. People may be wondering what we have done in this area. Today, I want to take this opportunity to share with you what we have done in these 4 months and what could be done in the coming days. The first one is a decentralized domain. We have named for it NB domain. We have finished the product protocol design. We designed an open protocol that everyone can use to set up a decentralized domain system. We also launched a test domain, .tech. Anyone who wants to pick the domain and see how it works can register .tech domain and to use it. We also built a web app to help users to register domains and manage domains. Let's see how it works. Now what we see is a web app we created for people to register domains. On the left, there are several panels that offer options for users to register domain, manage your domains, and do domain options and help. On the right, here's the register panel. People can choose different domains. Let's see, choose Bitcoin.com. It turns out this domain is registered by someone. There's some testing news, and also list the new registered domains. Seeing somebody and register some domains. And the second one is My Domains. Through My Domains, people can log in to manage these domains. Third one is domain auction, that we offer some domains people can do auction to get the best market price of the domain names. I will go into some details later. Okay, and we're back to the slide. The second one is global-wide ID. Why do we need a global ID? Because we have so many ID, so many accounts. A Google account, Facebook account, Twitter account, and every website Twitter account. It is so difficult to remember all of them. And none of those accounts really owned by me, the user. It's all owned by the company. The company can block my account, delete my account anytime they want. By using the blockchain technology, we can create an ID identification that the user really owns. So the global ID I'm talking about is a natural use case of NB domain. Because NB domain is register using people's public key. And using the crypto algorithm, we can verify if the NB domain is owned by that user. That makes the NB domain an identification of the user himself. To be able to be our global ID, we believe there are some requirements. First, it has to be decentralized, which means it's not dependent on any single company. Because a company may go out of business, but we don't want our ID go with the company. We don't want the user to own the ID. The second one, it should be made with an open protocol, which means any application can opt in this open ID without having asked anyone to give the permission. Third one, it should be abundant. The global ID should for everyone and everything on this planet. Okay, then I'll show you how to use NB domain as our global ID. Now we are back to the web app we created for NB domain. And we choose the second panel, My Domains. It's a login screen. With traditional centralized system, what happens with login process is user input his username, and the system will ask for, from the company's server to verify user's ID. That links the user's ID with the company server. That's called a centralized system. That's why people are bonded to the company system. But now, with NB domain, we can use a decentralized verification process. When you use NB domain to log in the system, what really happens is instead of going to our server to verify the ID, we use a BSV wallet to verify the ID. The wallet will sign a signature and send it to the application. Then the application will verify the signature and the public key bounded to the NB domain. They are matched. If they are matched, the application can consider your user is verified. That login is successful. Otherwise, the login is unsuccessful. The process is decentralized. It's because all the data is saved on blockchain, and the user's private key and public key is from the wallet, which is a decentralized application. Then, since the data and private key are in user's wallet, so the ID is not linked to any public company server, which makes it a decentralized system. Let me show you how it works. Now I'll input a test domain to try to log in to the system. I click OK, and the verification screen pops up. And now we should support two methods to verify. One use the Reboot, the internal wallet from Maxxthon 6. The other one is the QR code. And any wallet that supports this QR code can be used to verify the ID. So what I want to mention is we show you the wallet that used to register this domain to verify it, because only that wallet has the domain's private key. So since my domain registered using Reboot, I choose to Reboot verify this account. If I confirm, there's Reboot pops up and asking if I want to give the permission to sign a signature to verify my ID. I confirm, and you put a password. Usually the password is not necessary because it's only happens on my wallet. Those wallets don't have another password verification, but they want to add another layer of security to the system, so we give the user option to choose a password. Choose a password. Next, like I say, the signature is signed, and the application use the signature to verify my MB domain. That I use the MB domain combined with the signature to verify that I am the owner of this MB domain. That makes the login successful and the login to the system. This process can be used with any application, not just the application made for MB domain, but any other application also use the process to verify any MB domain. So that makes the MB domain can be used as a global ID for our applications. Now I want to use another domain that registers using wallet and use wallet to sign signature and log into the system. Click OK. And this time I will choose QR code. This domain registers the wallet. Now I have the wallet open. Open. And scan the QR code on screen. This says the domain site is requesting the signature and confirm the request. Let us see on the web app I have successfully logged in using that domain name. Okay, let's come back to the slide. Let's summarize. Now we know MB domain is a decentralized domain system, and we can also use MB domain as a global ID to log in to different applications. Since the MB domain is registered using BSV wallet, and our private key is held by the wallet and owned by us, the MB domain and the global ID is also owned by us, not by any third party. Okay, let's go back to the slide. The next topic I want to share is Maxxthon 6 and Reboot. Let's start with Maxxthon 6. Maxxthon 6 is the world's first browser powered by Bitcoin. We have equipped the Maxxthon 6 with a lot of tools to let users get easy access to Bitcoin blockchain. One of the tools is TX Protocol. You know, we have a lot of blockchain explorers which will show the details of any transactions. But as we know, the BSV blockchain can embed data into the transactions as well. In the BSV application, the application usually will embed all kinds of data into the transaction. But we need a way to display the data. The TX protocol is designed to display data in the transaction. Now, I will show you several examples. Now we come back to Maxxthon 6 browser. We can try to improve the TX protocol in address bar to access the embedded data in any transaction. Let's try. Let's say TX and use this transaction ID. Now we can see there is our image embedded in this transaction. It's very easy, isn't it? I can also save all the TX transactions in a folder like this. And save the TX all TX transactions that I'm interested in the folder. Then I always can come back and reread them. For example, this is the image. Just go here. Also, with the website that's embedded in the transaction. Using TX protocol, the users are very easy to understand and very easy to manage way to visit data on blockchain. The next tool we equipped with Maxxthon 6 browser is NB protocol. NB protocol can be used with NB domain to access websites on blockchain. Now we can say goodbye to Amazon, DigitalOcean, and other cloud hosting companies. You just need to upload your website on blockchain, then use NB domain and the NB protocol to access it. Let's see how we can build NB domain website combined with NB protocol with Maxxthon 6 browser. So we tab NB protocol this website. Now the website's here. It's so simple. You just upload the website to the blockchain and visit with the NB protocol. The team is currently building our more convenient tool to help users to upload the website and combine any website to this domain. Just follow our development process. Reboot is a blockchain identity manager. As we all know, when we conduct internet activities, whether in email or blog, or in social network, an identity is always required. But for the next version of the internet, what the identity will be? We believe we have to use the blockchain to save our identities instead of save identities with a lot of companies. to protect users' privacy and also give users total control. Webox is created to allow people to create unlimited amount of blockchain identities and users' identities in payment, in logins, or in other places. Besides a blockchain identity manager, Webox is also a simple wallet. The asset in the Webox is a point, which can be used to pay all BSV apps. By using Webox, we give you the ability to form a virtual structure through all these activities, from payment to using apps, and have total control over what identity we want to use under any circumstance. From technical side, Webox supports all kinds of transactions, from standard payment to data type transaction, or even customize the script. The app can use Webox to unleash the power of Bitcoin without having to touch users' private key. Okay, that's pretty much our share today. I'm sure due to limited time, there must be questions. Feel free to contact us through Twitter, WeChat, or Telegram. This is my ID. Feel free to follow me, contact me as a friend. Let's continue the conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, I'm back.
Excellent, you're back. Great. Thank you so much for the for sharing the Maxxthon with us. And what we're going to do now is, if I can encourage everyone to head over to the session tab over there on the left hand of the screen. That's where we're going to be having the Q&A session. So I'm sure Jeff, there'll be quite a few questions for you as well, and for Maxxthon 6, and also for the other speakers. So yeah, if we can all head over to the Q&A session, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Yeah, sure.